Hello, welcome to Capital Sensei. Today we're going to dive deep into one of the most powerful ideas in modern thinking, especially for anyone interested in finance, business, or just navigating a chaotic world. We're talking about Antifragile, the masterwork by Nassim Taleb. We'll explore his core concept, the triad of the fragile, the robust, and the antifragile, and see how things can actually get stronger from shocks. We'll unpack practical tools like the barbell strategy for investing and the crucial importance of having skin in the game. We do our best to answer questions in the comments whenever we can, and the discussions that happen there are often as valuable as the video itself. So please, if you have any doubts or if you have a personal story about facing uncertainty, share it below. Your experience can help someone else, and that's how we all learn together. Let's start with a simple thought experiment. Imagine you're packing a box to ship across the country. Inside, you place a delicate porcelain teacup. What do you write on the outside of the box? You write fragile, handle with care. You know that shocks, randomness, and stress are bad for the teacup. A single drop could shatter it. This is the essence of fragility. Fragile things are harmed by volatility and disorder. Now, think about something else you could put in that box. Maybe a solid block of titanium. You don't need to write anything on the box for this one. You can drop it, shake it, throw it around, and when it arrives at its destination, it will be exactly the same. It resists stress. It endures shocks. This is what we call robust. For a long time, we thought robustness was the highest goal, to build things that could withstand chaos. But Taleb introduces a third category, one that's completely different. Imagine that instead of a teacup or a block of steel, you could ship something that gets stronger with every bump and jolt on its journey. Something that arrives at its destination better than when it started. This is the antifragile. The antifragile doesn't just resist shocks, it benefits from them. It feeds on volatility, randomness, error, and uncertainty. This might sound a bit abstract, so let's bring it down to earth with the best example there is. Your own body. If you sit on a couch for a year, avoiding all physical stress, what happens? Your muscles atrophy, your bones weaken, you become fragile. But what if you go to the gym and lift weights? You are intentionally applying stress and volatility to your muscles. You create tiny micro tears in the muscle fibers. The system is harmed. But then, your body's natural response is to overcompensate, to rebuild those fibers not just to their previous state, but stronger. You literally get stronger from being harmed. Your body is antifragile. This concept is everywhere in nature. Think about the ancient Greek myth of the Hydra. For every head you chopped off, two would grow back in its place. The Hydra became stronger from the attacks against it. Evolution itself is an antifragile process. Random mutations, which are essentially errors in genetic code, combined with environmental stressors, lead to stronger, more resilient species over time. The system learns and adapts from randomness. So we have this triad: the fragile, which is weakened by shocks; the robust, which is indifferent to shocks; and the antifragile, which is strengthened by shocks. Understanding this distinction is absolutely crucial because most of us, especially in finance and economics, have spent our lives trying to build robust systems when we should have been trying to build antifragile ones. Let's apply this to the economy. A highly centralized, top-down planned economy, like the kind seen in the old Soviet Union, is a perfect example of a fragile system. The central planners try to eliminate all volatility. They set prices, dictate production quotas, and try to engineer a perfectly stable system. But by removing the small, natural fluctuations of a market, they make the entire system incredibly brittle. When an unexpected shock does hit, a bad harvest, a change in oil prices, the system has no idea how to adapt, and it can collapse catastrophically. On the other hand, a decentralized, free market capitalist economy is inherently messy and volatile, but it is also antifragile. Thousands of businesses are competing. Many of them will fail. A bankruptcy is a small, localized stressor. It's painful for the people involved, for the employees and the owners. But for the system as a whole, the failure of a weak company releases capital, talent, and resources that can then be used by stronger, more innovative companies. The system learns from the failure and becomes more efficient and dynamic over time. Think about the dot-com bubble bursting in the early 2000s. It was a painful shock. Many investors lost a ton of money, and many companies went bankrupt. But that stressor cleared out all the weak business models and unsustainable hype. What emerged from the ashes? Companies like Amazon and Google, which were hardened by the experience and went on to define the next era of technology. The system got stronger because of the shock. Taleb coined a brilliant term for the kind of people who, usually with the best intentions, create fragility. He calls them Fragilistas. A fragilista is the bureaucrat, the academic economist, the risk manager, or the corporate executive who believes they can predict and control the future using complex models. They create policies and systems that look stable on the surface, but are hiding immense, explosive risks. The classic illustration of this is what Taleb calls the turkey problem. Imagine you are a turkey. Every single day for 1,000 days, a friendly human comes to feed you. Each day, your data set grows, and your confidence that humans are your friends increases. You might even build a sophisticated statistical model that predicts with 99.9% certainty that tomorrow will be another great day of free food. The system seems perfectly safe and predictable. Then, one day in late November, something completely unexpected happens. The turkey experiences a massive revision of belief. The problem is that the turkey's model was based on past data that systematically hid the ultimate risk. The fragilista is like the farmer, building a system that seems safe for the turkey while knowing the ultimate outcome. The bankers before the 2008 financial crisis were fragilistas. Their risk models, based on historical housing data, told them everything was safe. They smoothed out all the small risks, concentrated them, and created a system that was vulnerable to a single catastrophic failure. So, if trying to predict the future is a fool's errand that creates fragility, what's the solution? Taleb proposes a powerful idea he calls via negativa, which is Latin for the negative way. It's the principle that we often know more about what is wrong than what is right. Therefore, the path to improvement is often through subtraction, not addition. Think about your health. Instead of adding a dozen new vitamins and supplements you read about online, you would likely get far healthier by simply subtracting a few things. Subtracting processed sugar, subtracting smoking, subtracting a sedentary lifestyle. The knowledge of what to remove is often more robust and reliable than the knowledge of what to add. The same applies to investing. Many investors spend their lives chasing the next hot tip, trying to add the perfect stock to their portfolio. This is a game of prediction. A via negativa approach would be to focus on what to remove. You remove the possibility of ruin. This means subtracting debt from your financial life. It means subtracting exposure to complex derivatives you don't understand. It means subtracting any single investment that, if it went to zero, would wipe you out. By removing the sources of fragility, you automatically become more robust and even antifragile. This leads us to one of the most practical and brilliant strategies from the book, the barbell strategy. When most people think about investment risk, they aim for the middle. They build a medium risk portfolio. Taleb argues this is often the worst place to be because it exposes you to the turkey problem, hidden, unpredictable risks that can blow you up. The barbell strategy, instead, suggests you go to the extremes. Here's how it works. You take the vast majority of your capital, say 90%, and you put it in something extremely safe and robust. Think of it as hyper-conservative. This could be cash, government bonds, or something else that is protected from major losses. This is the safe side of the barbell. Its purpose is to preserve your capital and protect you from a catastrophic negative event, a so-called black swan. You cannot be wiped out. Then, you take the small remaining portion of your capital, the other 10%, and you invest it in things that are extremely speculative and high risk. This is the risky side of the barbell. This is where you put your venture capital style bets. Maybe some small cap biotech stocks, cryptocurrencies, or option strategies. These are investments where the most you can lose is what you put in, that 10%. But the potential upside is enormous, maybe 10, 100, or even 1,000 times your investment. Look at the structure this creates. Your overall portfolio is protected from ruin by the huge safe allocation. Your downside is strictly capped. Meanwhile, your small, risky allocation gives you massive exposure to positive black swans, those rare, unpredictable events that can create immense wealth. You have limited downside and unlimited, or at least tremendous, upside. This is a structure that benefits from volatility and randomness on the upside, while being immune to it on the downside. It is, by its very definition, anti-fragile. This is fundamentally different from a medium-risk portfolio. A portfolio of 60% stocks and 40% bonds might seem balanced. But a severe market crash can still inflict devastating losses. It's exposed to risks it doesn't have a huge upside to compensate for. The barbell, in contrast, embraces the extremes. It's a conscious decision to be hyper-conservative and hyper-aggressive at the same time, in different parts of your portfolio. Now, let's talk about a concept that ties all of this together: skin in the game. Taleb argues very forcefully that you should never trust anyone who is giving you advice or making a decision if they don't have personal exposure to the consequences of that decision. In short, they need to have their own skin in the game. When someone has skin in the game, it acts as a powerful filter. It forces them to be more careful, more pragmatic, and more aligned with reality. Think about the Fragilistas we mentioned earlier. The banker who took on immense risk to get a huge bonus in 2007 had no skin in the game for the downside. When the system collapsed, he kept his past bonuses, and the taxpayers bailed out his bank. He got the upside. Society got the downside. This is a system designed to create fragility. The politician who votes for a war, but whose children will never have to fight in it, has no skin in the game. The talking head on television who makes bold stock market predictions, but doesn't invest their own money based on them, has no skin in the game. Conversely, who has skin in the game? An entrepreneur who puts their life savings into their own company. Their success or failure is directly tied to their decisions. A Roman bridge engineer, Taleb points out, was traditionally made to stand under the arch of his newly completed bridge as the scaffolding was removed. That's skin in the game. It ensures you build a very, very good bridge. When you are looking for advice, financial or otherwise, always ask, what does this person have to lose if they're wrong? If the answer is nothing, you should be extremely skeptical of their advice. This principle of skin in the game connects directly to antifragility. Systems where people have skin in the game tend to be anti-fragile. Mistakes are made, but they are paid for by the person who made them. This creates a rapid, effective feedback loop. The system learns and gets stronger. Systems where decision makers are insulated from the consequences of their actions are fragile. Errors accumulate, risks are hidden, and the eventual blow-up is massive. Another key idea for becoming anti-fragile is the search for optionality. Optionality is simply having choices, and more specifically, having choices where the potential upside is much greater than the potential downside. This is also called positive asymmetry. The barbell strategy we discussed is a perfect example of creating a portfolio with optionality. The risky side of the barbell has a small, fixed downside and a massive, open-ended upside. Let's use a non-financial example. Imagine you go to a party where you don't know many people. Your downside is that you might be bored for an hour or two. Your upside is that you might meet a future business partner, your future spouse, or a lifelong friend. The potential upside is life-changing, while the downside is trivial. That is a situation with fantastic optionality. Attending that party is an anti-fragile action. You can apply this thinking to your career. A job that teaches you a valuable, transferable skill gives you optionality. Even if you leave that job, you take the skill with you, opening up new opportunities. A job that is highly specialized in a dying industry has negative optionality. It traps you. Learning to code, learning a new language, or building a professional network are all ways of adding positive options to your life. You are making small investments of time and effort for a potentially huge, unpredictable payoff down the line. The opposite of this is what Taleb calls negative asymmetry. These are situations where the potential downside is far greater than the potential upside. A classic example would be picking up pennies in front of a steamroller. You might gain a few cents, but the risk, however small it seems, is catastrophic. Many people live their financial lives this way, selling complex option strategies for a small, steady income, not realizing they are exposed to a rare event that could wipe them out entirely. The anti-fragile person learns to spot and ruthlessly avoid situations with negative asymmetry. All of these ideas, the barbell, skin in the game, optionality, are tools for dealing with a world that is fundamentally unpredictable. Taleb is deeply skeptical of our ability to forecast anything important in what he calls Extremistan, the realm of complex systems like economies, markets, and geopolitics. These domains are dominated by black swans, those rare, high-impact events that no one saw coming. Think of the rise of the internet, the 9/11 attacks, or the 2008 financial crisis. No mainstream forecast predicted these. This leads to his critique of what he calls the Procrustean bed. In Greek mythology, Procrustes was a rogue smith and innkeeper who had a special bed. If a traveler was too short for the bed, Procrustes would stretch them on a rack to make them fit. If they were too tall, he would chop off their legs. He was forcing the person to fit his bed. Taleb says this is what modern experts do. They try to force messy, complex, unpredictable reality into their neat, clean, elegant models. The economic models that failed to predict the 2008 crisis were Procrustean beds. They ignored the messy, real-world data that didn't fit their beautiful equations. By trying to make reality fit the model instead of the other way around, they created a false sense of security and made the system incredibly fragile. The lesson here is profound. It is far better to be vaguely right than precisely wrong. Don't try to predict the future with precision. Instead, build a system, a portfolio, a career, and a life that doesn't depend on your ability to predict. Build it to be robust to negative shocks and open to positive ones. So, how do we put all this together? It's a shift in mindset. First, accept that the world is far more random and unpredictable than our intuition tells us. Stop trying to optimize for a single predicted future. The future is not a single point. It's a wide distribution of possibilities. Second, start thinking in terms of the triad. For every major decision, ask yourself, does this make me more fragile, more robust, or more anti-fragile? If you're an investor, look at your portfolio. Do you have a single source of risk that could ruin you? That's fragility. Remove it using via negativa. Are you diversified into a boring, medium-risk mush? Maybe consider a barbell strategy to introduce true antifragility, giving you exposure to that explosive, unexpected upside while protecting your base. If you're thinking about your career, are you in a Procrustean bed, stuck in a role with no transferable skills? Start adding optionality. Take an online course, start a side project, build your network. Make small bets on yourself that have a limited downside, a bit of time and money, and a potentially huge upside. These small stressors and new skills will make your career path anti-fragile. When you take advice, check for skin in the game. Is the person advising you sharing in the consequences? If not, their words are cheap. Trust the doers, the tinkerers, the entrepreneurs who have something to lose over the fearists who don't. And remember the power of subtraction. Often, the fastest way to become stronger is to remove what is making you weak. Remove debt, remove toxic habits, remove commitments that drain your energy without providing options. Ultimately, Antifragile is not just a book about finance or economics. It's a blueprint for living in a world defined by uncertainty. It's about learning to love a certain amount of volatility, seeing stressors not as threats, but as information. It's about building slack and redundancy into your life so that you have room to maneuver when things go wrong. It's about positioning yourself to be pleasantly surprised by the future, instead of being terrified of it. It's the art of turning chaos into your greatest advantage.